Hello, my name is Amanda.
My name is Kyara.
And my name is Xander.
For our Night of the Notables IPW, we are going to be presenting about our chosen notable figure, Steve Jobs.
First, let's start with an encouraging quote from Steve Jobs. Sometimes life is going to hit you in the head with a brick. Don't lose faith.
I'm sure many of you have heard the name Steve Jobs. He is quite famous. You guys may know that Steve Jobs is the co-founder of Apple and is involved in founding Pixar. Well, today we are going to go deeper and find out more about him.
Who exactly is Steve Jobs? Steve Jobs was an American business tycoon, mechanical architect, speculator, and media proprietor. He was the co-founder of Apple Inc. and a part of the Walt Disney Company's board of chiefs after obtaining Pixar, and the author, chairman, and CEO of Apple.
Jobs became CEO of Apple in 1997 following his company's acquisition of Next. He was largely responsible for helping revive Apple, which had been on the verge of bankruptcy. Yes, bankruptcy. He also worked closely with the designer Johnny Ive to develop a line of products that had a larger cultural outcome leading to the iMac, iTunes, iTunes Store, Apple Store, iPod, iPhone, App Store, and the iPad. In 2001, the original Mac OS was replaced with the completely new Mac OS X, now known as Mac OS. Jobs was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer in 2003. He died of respiratory arrest related to the tumor at age 56 on October 5, 2011.
About Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs' full name was Stephen Paul Jobs. He was born in San Francisco, California, USA on 24 February 1955. He was 56 years old when he passed away on the 5th of October 11 in Palo Alto, California, USA.
Steve Jobs' family. His biological parents were Joanne Simpson and Abdul Fattah Janali. His adopted parents were Clara and Paul Jobs. His siblings were Mona Simpson and Patricia Ann Jobs. His wife was Laureen Powell Jobs, and his children were Lisa Brennan Jobs, Eve Jobs, Reed Jobs, and Erin Sienna Jobs.
His early life. Steve Jobs was born on February 24, 1955 in San Francisco, California. He and his adoptive family lived in Mountain View, California. As a boy, Steve Jobs often worked on electronics with his father in the garage. Paul Jobs showed his son how to take apart and reconstruct electronics, while Steve Jobs, who was always intelligent and an innovative thinker, wasn't the best in school. After high school, Steve Jobs enrolled at Reed College in Portland, Oregon, which he dropped out of after 6 months and spent the next 18 months in creative classes at the school.
Among all his works, in this video, we are only going to talk about two, Apple and Pixar, and also a small mention on Next. You certainly have heard of Apple, the brand of some of your gadgets. Most people use Apple due to their amazing qualities. Let's tell you more about it.
Apple Inc. is an American manufacturer of personal computers, PCs, smartphones, tablets, computers, computer accessories, and computer software. It was the first successful PC company. Headquarters are located in Cupertino, California. Apple is also well known for the iPod and its innovative marketing strategies for its products.
Apple was created in 1976 when Jobs was 21 years old. He and Wozniak started Apple Computer in the Jobs family garage. They were able to start the company by Jobs selling his Volkswagen bus and Wozniak selling his Bluff scientific calculator. Wozniak produced a series of user-friendly personal computers, and Jobs was in charge of marketing. Apple initially marketed the computers for $666.66 each. The Apple I earned the corporation around $774,000. 3 years after the release of Apple's second model, the Apple II, the company's sales increased by 700% to $139 million.
Apple Computer became a publicly traded company in 1980 with a market value of $1.2 billion by the end of its very first day of trading. Jobs considered marketing expert John Scully of Pepsi-Cola to take over the role of CEO for Apple. The next several products from Apple suffered important design flaws, resulting in recalls and disappointed customers. In 1984, Apple released the Macintosh, marketing the computer as a piece of counterculture lifestyle, romantic, youthful, creative, but despite positive sales and performance superior to IBM's PCs, but Macintosh was still not IBM compatible.
John Sculley believed Jobs was hurting Apple, and the company's executives began to phase him out. Not actually having an official title with the company he co-founded, Jobs was pushed into a more powerful position and thus left Apple in 1985.
A new creation. After leaving Apple in 1985, Jobs began a new hardware and software enterprise called NeXT, Inc. The company foundered in its attempts to sell its specialized operating system to mainstream America, and Apple eventually bought the company in 1996 for $429 million. In 1997, Jobs returned to his post as Apple CEO. Just as Jobs instigated Apple's success in the 1970s, he is credited with revitalizing the company in 1990s.
Moving on to Pixar. Pixar Animation Studios, commonly known as just Pixar, is an American computer animation studio known for its critically and commercially successful computer animated feature films. It is based in Emeryville, California, and is a division of Walt Disney Studios owned by the Walt Disney Company.
The creation of Pixar. In 1986, Jobs purchased an animation company from George Lucas, which later on became Pixar Animation Studios. Believing in Pixar's potential, Jobs invested $50 million of his own money in the company at the start. The studio went on to produce popular movies such as Toy Story, Finding Nemo, and The Incredibles. The studio merged with Walt Disney in 2006, making Jobs Disney's largest shareholder. In 2011, Forbes estimated the majority of Jobs' net worth at around $6.5 billion to $7.5 billion. From the sale of Pixar to the Walt Disney Company in 2006. However, if Jobs had not sold his Apple shares in 1985, when he left the company he founded and helmed for over a decade, his net worth would have been a staggering $36 billion.
His health. In 2003, Jobs discovered that he had a rare but operable form of pancreatic cancer. For 9 months, Jobs postponed surgery, making Apple's board of directors nervous. Executives feared that shareholders would pull their stock if word got out that their CEO was ill. In 2004, Jobs had successful surgery to remove the pancreatic tumor. In the following years, Jobs disclosed little about his health. Early in 2009, reports circulated about Jobs' weight loss, some predicting his health issues had returned, which included a liver transplant. Days later, he went on a 6-month leave of absence. After nearly a year out of the spotlight, Jobs delivered a keynote address at an invite-only Apple event on September 9, 2009.
He continued to serve as a master of ceremonies, which included the unveiling of the iPad throughout much of 2010. In January 2011, Jobs announced he was going on medical leave. In January 2011, Jobs announced he was going on medical leave. In August, he resigned as CEO of Apple, handing the reins to Cook.
His death. Jobs died in Palo Alto on October 5, 2011, after battling pancreatic cancer for nearly a decade. He was 56 years old. In an eulogy for Jobs, his sister, Mona Simpson, wrote that just before dying, Jobs looked at his family and said his last words, "Oh wow, oh wow, oh wow."
We asked some people from our grade to answer some questions we made, such as whether they knew about Steve Jobs, where they found out about him, what they thought of his works. We made a Google Forms and collected all the information after a few days. A lot of people answered our questions and gave us a lot of opinions.
Most people knew Steve Jobs as a creator of Apple and found him interesting and his inventions very incredible. A lot of them found out as they and their parents used Apple, while some found out from books or promotions.
Here are our sources.
But before we finish, this is our character strengths and Steve Jobs. Character strengths.
Steve Jobs' character or personality traits: charismatic attitude, passionate demeanor, not afraid to take risks.
Here's a comparison between R and Steve Jobs' character traits.
Creativity and gratitude.
Judgment and prudence.
Strategy and self-awareness.
Thank you for listening to our presentation. We hope you enjoyed our notable finger presentation about Steve Jobs. Have a nice day.